So, for the last few months, I've been promising to make a 5,000 subscriber Q&A video. And with the channel skyrocketing past 5,000 thanks to a certain very popular video, that day has finally happened. So in order to keep my promise, I asked you all to ask me a bunch of questions via Discord server, Twitter, and the YouTube community tab, and also my Instagram stories, but only one person responded to that, so we'll get to that later. I'm of course very grateful for the sudden rise in attention that the channel has just gotten, so without further ado, let's get to know me a little bit better. Classic Fumble asks, real Q&A, will our questions be answered? Yes, right now. Daniel Davis asks, how long did it take to make the account to subscribe to yourself? About 9 years. Precision Counts asks, what is the meaning of life, the universe, and everything? It's Final Fantasy. Quite a few people ask me what my favorite country is. Obviously Germany, but not in the same way as most of these guys. Vendus asks, what sort of plans do you have for your channel in the future? More of the same, more frequent uploads, or something else? Really, I don't have many plans for this channel in particular, other than growth and doing things like more collaborations and attending more VidCons and all that stuff, and obviously upping my production value a little bit. A question that might be easier for me to answer is this question from Sam. Would you consider branching out your content in the future? If so, what do you believe you might create content-wise? One thing I've really been wanting to do for the last few years, but am still kind of waiting for the right time to do so, is to start basically a kids channel. Like, basically what I do here, but a bit more innocent. Maybe not for little kids, but for, like elementary or middle school level. Almighty42 asks, what is your political leaning and where are you from? I classify myself as a democratic socialist and I'm originally from the Washington, D.C. area, though technically just outside D.C. Though I did grow up largely inside the district itself, I was born just outside in Maryland, which to the eyes of most districtors basically makes you a non-Washingtonian. But of course in the eyes of literally everyone else, it really doesn't matter. JTSSZ1 asks, why do you only have 5k subs? Well, apparently I didn't create enough accounts. United States of America asks, are you Egyptian, American, Amer-Egyptian? I must know. I'm not Egyptian. I have never even been to Egypt. In fact, the closest I've ever even been to Egypt is probably Istanbul. Really, this is just kind of a thing from a bygone era. Emslin Ball Mapping asks, what's your favorite kind of music or favorite musician? Well, my favorite kind of music is basically anything I can find on YouTube at the time that kind of sounds good. Though favorite musicians, I actually really like Turkish pop music, like from Tarkan, Gülşen, İrem Derici, etc., etc. I also like some other musicians, like Antti Martikainen, who creates this epic music tracks, basically. I've never really been interested in musical artists in particular, just more particular songs here and there. I like to pick and choose with my music. Mr. Backpack asks, what is your favorite country and favorite capital city or capital cities? First off, Mr. Backpack is a great name for a nature or survival show on YouTube. But favorite capital cities, first obviously Berlin, but I should of course give props to my hometown Washington, D.C. But I've also been to 3 other capital cities. I've been to Amsterdam, which is really nice, Brussels, which I didn't really enjoy that much, and Luxembourg, which, well, I did make a whole video on Luxembourg, so that tells you that. And I will most likely be going to VidCon London in this February, so I'll tell you what I think about London later. Nate Jennings asks, what is your favorite city? Well, obviously Berlin, but if I can't say Berlin for whatever reason, I'm probably going to have to go with maybe Vancouver, British Columbia. Istanbul is also really fun. I'd like to go back there. Pudding Play asks, if you could choose citizenship of any country, which one would you pick and why? This is assuming I can keep my American citizenship, of course. Yeah, it's probably not too surprising, but I would probably actually go with Germany. I mean, obviously Germany, but also access to the entire European Union, and look at that visa requirement map. Though going with only visa requirements, I guess I could also consider Singapore. Daniel Davis asks, I am the beginning of everything, the end of everywhere. I'm the beginning of eternity, the end of time and space. What am I? The Watery. Totally didn't need to Google that. What is your favorite railroad company? What do you think of state-run railway companies? I don't really have an opinion on state-run railway companies, but my favorite railway company that I've ridden trains on so far is obviously Deutsche Bahn. Stark Galaxy 131 asks, what is the goal for this channel? I don't know. Educate people on something, I guess? I don't know. Eye of the Totodile asks, what is your biggest motivation to make videos? Oh yeah, and Know How also asks, how do you find motivation to make as much content as possible? Probably just the pressure to upload every Sunday. I generally have a kind of a dedicated personality. That is, if I can get the ball rolling on some things. Like I've had Duolingo streaks over 600 days. But at the same time, there are a lot of different new projects that I've tried to start. You know, anything from Minecraft worlds to YouTube channels to Duolingo languages. Sometimes, yeah. Really, for as many things you can see me dedicated on, there are a lot of things that I just couldn't start. Piggy Porkchop asks, if there's a video you could redo, which one would it be and why? I already did redo my old Klingon for Humans video, though that didn't really get a lot of views. Come on people, view that video. I'm more proud of that one than I am the other one. But one video I'd actually really like to redo is probably the True Facts About Poland video. That was just so wrong on so many levels. Mario's Art asks, what European countries do you wish to visit? Of the countries that I've still not been to yet, probably Spain, Italy, and Little Malta. Oh my god, Malta's... wow. I would also like to go to Monaco just to make a video about it, just like Luxembourg, obviously. I would also like to see more of Turkey. I spent a night in Istanbul this past summer on the way over, but I didn't even get to see Beyoğlu district. So, you know, I'd like to go back to see a bit more of that. Michael K12 Pro asks a lot of questions. First, make a meme. Alright, sure, here we go. Do you have a life? Kind of. What's your favorite game? The game I probably have most fun playing is probably Minecraft, because I like to play creative mode a lot. Finally, he asks, why did you start? Along with Professor Politics, who also asks, what inspired you to start a YouTube channel, and how has it shaped the way you think of yourself? Basically, when I was around 8 or 9, when I first started the channel, I was always really kind of impressed by the idea of posting stuff to YouTube, and I just kind of stumbled into that world. It has definitely shaped me a lot as a human being because I've kind of grown up as a YouTuber. And let me tell you, growing up worrying about subscribers and views and all that is not a good way to grow up. Especially when people only now take you seriously. Sometimes. No one's ever going to take you seriously as a YouTuber, let's be honest. The World Explained asks, is there a language that you want to learn but don't know anything about yet? If so, which one and why? Ooh, that's a good question. Right now I'm still trying to work on my German and my Spanish, and I'm also trying to get my Turkish up to par with those languages. But after those languages, I don't know, maybe one of the East Asian languages, maybe Arabic, I don't know. Oceania asks, when did you get interested in social studies? I first got interested in history after hearing about Playmobil and their ancient Egyptian, ancient Roman sets when I was 8. Those really kind of captivated me. So it motivated me to learn a lot about those subjects. I really started getting interested in social studies in particular once I just found a better definition of the term. It was like, oh yeah, that sounds like my interests. Don't get me wrong though, I'm also a real fan of science topics. In fact, probably the only reason I don't make more scientific videos is because I have fewer ideas in those subjects, and also I feel more comfortable explaining social studies topics. Huxi asks, are you somehow German? Nein, ich bin kein Deutsche. Shy Fry asks, what do you think is the most successful country in history? I would say the United States. Because you see how much global power it has maintained around the world, and really the only way you can extend so much power around the world, other than, you know, technology and all that, is really to have such a stable core foundation. The United States is a very stable country. Sure, the media might like to play up the terror factor, but the United States is actually very stable. We're not going anywhere, so I would say the United States. WS Doggy asks, where did you get your name from? And also the Hockeyist asks, how did you choose your username? Alright, so this is a bit of a nerdy, fun story. So when I was about 9 or so, I watched the movie Night at the Museum 2 Battle of the Smithsonian, featuring main antagonist Ka-mun-Ra, which I thought was spelled like this. So I thought it was, you know, like the Ka of Amun-Ra. I also thought that Ka was spelled like this and not like this. But I didn't want to call it Ka-mun-Ra, or Ka-mun-Ra Productions, I guess what I called it at the time, because, you know, obviously I didn't want to take a name that was already kind of taken, so I just chose a different Egyptian god. Which, by the way, fun fact, is why the A is always capitalized. We Are Numbu1 asks, are you capable of stretching your arm out to your sides, creating some sort of T pose? I don't know what an arm is. Let's look it up real quick. Oh, okay. So it's like weapons of sort. Alright, well... So, stretching it out, and well, swords like this are already kind of in a T shape anyway, so, I mean, what are you trying to ask me to do here? Probably shouldn't display that on camera too much. I get paranoid a lot. Moving on, Stefan Milo asks, you've got $20,000 to make a video on anything. What do you pick? Well, obviously if I have like $20,000, I'm going to want to make some kind of like feature-length documentary or something like that. But in just videos that I feel like I don't have the resources to make just yet, I have a couple ideas. First, I want to make a video about, like, you know, how to pilot the USS Enterprise and other Star Trek starships. You know, kind of very nerdy, maybe a little bit educational, but mostly nerdy. But obviously I'd want, you know, a realistic set for that. Another one that might be a bit more educational is, like, you know, could you fly with feathers attached to your arms with wax, like in the story of Icarus and Daedalus? Like, could that actually work? No one ever focuses on that factor. I mean, I'm quite skeptical on the subject, because, you know, if they could do it, surely anyone else in antiquity could have, right? That's just a subject that kind of interests me, and, you know, I'd be curious to see if it works. But I mean, obviously I don't have the money or resources or time or will to make a feather wingsuit just in my spare time, so yeah. Side note, you can support KhAnubis on Patreon. The Hockeyist asks, what's a remedy for headaches? Push your finger against your forehead like this, with some force. This is not a permanent cure, but it will provide some temporary relief as long as you do it. However, your hand will get pretty tired, so it's head pain versus hand pain at that point. He also asks, what is your handwriting like? Is Toby Wrights an older name? What made you choose that one? Well, my channel was established in June 2009, when I was obviously way too young to create a YouTube channel, so my mom created that for me. So of course, she established it under her name, Toby Wrights. And that just kind of stuck. Nowadays, of course, with it being basically fully my channel, you can see why I've been kind of trying to push that away for a different URL. If you could live on any other planet in the solar system, assuming you would survive with no ill effects, what planet would you choose? I would actually like to live on one of the moons of Jupiter. Or perhaps even Titan on Saturn. That would be actually really cool. If I had to stick with planets, though, Mars, why not? What's with the consistent pharaoh slash king slash I forget what it's called headgear that you wear? Okay. So this originally started out as a costume, again, when I was 9 years old. A lot of things happened when I was 9 years old. And I just kept wearing it, people got used to me wearing it, and eventually just kind of turned into my symbol. Mr. Beat asks, what was the first YouTube channel you regularly watched? Well, that's really going back in time. First YouTube channel I probably really regularly watched, at least one of the first, is probably like Rubber Benfer and Film Count, you know, like Clay World and like those things like that, back when I was like a stupid kid. Fast forwarding a few years to being a bigger, slightly less stupid kid, the first educational channels I really liked to watch were basically the likes of Vsauce and Crash Course and SciShow and Metaphysics and people like that, and then just kind of branched out from there. And I mean, those channels are really what inspired me to dive more into the YouTube EDU category. In fact, some of my first true educational videos, minus the Playmobil Roman history, they were all about science. Machina Zavod asks, what is your favorite US city flag? I really like the flag of Portland, Oregon, right here. But I also really like the flag of DC. Stir asks, what are your thoughts on Fortnite? I don't hate it. I mean, the dances are kind of funny. And plus, you know, I am friends with the guys over at Laugh Over Life, who of course recently made a whole Fortnite vs. PUBG series. I kind of take it or leave it on the matter. And no, I don't play Fortnite. The Hockeyist asks, how many foreign languages do you have experience with? I have experience, of course, with, well, English, my native language, but also German, Spanish, and Turkish. But going back in my Duolingo history, oh my god. Like everything. Klingon, Mandarin, Korean, Russian, Dutch, Portuguese, I've tried all those languages. And in fact, Jojga Pyeongsan. I haven't worked on my Hangul in a long time, but my friend Marlise asks, going off of that, do you plan on continuing to study Korean? Well, judging by how I just pronounced your name in Korean, maybe in the future. It could be a useful language, I don't know. Machina Savad asks, have you ever heard of nation-states? Yeah. The Hockeyist asks, would you rather die naturally at your natural time to die, or live so long that you are viewed as a social outcast? E.g. you live into the 26th century and branded as a social outcast from the 21st century. I live into the 26th century. I just want to know what it's like. I lived 500 years and be a social outcast. I lived 18 years and I'm already kind of a social outcast. You know, go me. Eclectic asks, how in the world do you put out videos regularly? What takes the longest in your process? What takes the longest in my process is probably coming up with the topic, researching, and script writing. Because I have all of the animating and stuff kind of down to a specific point. Though of course, once the script has already been narrated, really what takes me a long time is finding the right images and video clips to kind of put into place. Because I just kind of write without much consideration for that. I really should write with more consideration for that. But because I don't film directly to a camera most of the time, whenever there's kind of blank space or dead space, I have to fill it with something, which always kind of strings my resources a little bit. And also, I can't really find the comment right now, but someone else asked me, how do I make the animations? Basically, I just make them with keyframe animations. They're kind of tedious, and that's also why they're not too detailed. They're just images moving around the screen, but yeah, I use keyframe animations because I use Final Cut Pro. Finally, Corporus asks, what was in the box? Referring to the Rivers video. Yeah, this box. Hang on. Let me just quickly create a portal and... Alright. Hey, me from a parallel universe, can you look in this box real quick? Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, it's just a box. How bad could it be? Oh, that didn't look too healthy. Alright, so thanks to everyone who asked me a question for this 5,000 subscriber Q&A. I do realize that there are a lot of questions that I left out, whether it be accidentally because you commented them after I filmed this, or intentionally because I didn't want to answer them. Not gonna say which is which. Or perhaps I just missed them as I was filming them. I didn't really have much of a script or a prompt for this, I just kind of winged it right off the bat. Yeah, so either way, if you want to see more from me other than just weekly videos, you can also follow me on Twitter and on Instagram, and you can even add me on Snapchat at this username at KhAnubis, or at KhAnubisOfficial, also on Instagram. And if you'd like to support the channel like these three patrons right here, you can support me on patreon.com/KhAnubis. And be sure to subscribe to learn something new every Sunday.